There are forces that are actively working against us. We just have to acknowledge that. I don't see any point in it besides just stoking even more division in our communities and in our world. My friends, we are experiencing unprecedented things in our day-to-day lives. As children have gone back to school, rumors and threats have arisen, and it just seems like everyone is on edge. There's so much tension in our communities, and all of that tension, that boiling that's happening inside, it's starting to boil over the pot, and it's starting to hit us close to home. You know, in the community that I live in, there were rumors and threats, some students arrested, and ultimately the school district had to make a decision. They decided to let school out early one day and then cancel school for the following day. And in response to that decision, I did what any normal pastor would do. I made a post on Facebook praying for the community. But last evening, as I was getting our kids ready for bed, I got text messages from church members saying, "Hey, where did your post go?" I wanted to share it. There are people in the community that are leaning on this. Did you take it down? And I said, no, of course I didn't take it down, but maybe Facebook did. And so I picked up my phone and I opened the Facebook app, and lo and behold, Facebook removed my post. They removed my post for breaking their rules on cybersecurity. But here's the thing. My post had nothing to do with that. All my post was a plea and a prayer for our community, that we might have civility in these times and that we might hold each other with the same love and care that God does. Here's the post: praying for peace and safety for all students, faculty, and parents during this time of tension in Southern Boone School District. May God safely shepherd all of those involved, and may there be peace in the community. While I know that tensions are running high, it is important that we model grace and civility in this new reality we face. May our words and actions mimic the love that Christ has for us all. And may we care for one another even in the face of fear. May God bless each and every one of you and protect you through the uncertainty of today. Now, does that sound like a violation of cybersecurity? I think not. But welcome to 2024. I never thought that I'd live in a world where I would have to worry about censorship. Now, I can't say that Facebook did this on purpose. I'm not an alarmist by any stretch of the imagination. But there has to be something to the idea that a pastor making a post that cries for unity and peace in the community magically gets removed by Facebook. There has to be something to that. And my friends, whether you recognize it or not, we are in a war in our times. We are fighting against a culture that doesn't accept the values of our faith, that doesn't respect the values of our faith, and most certainly doesn't really care what we think. You know, Paul wrote about it in Romans that we're not called to fit into the culture because the culture drags us down to a level of immaturity. And as I look out at the world today, I see immaturity everywhere I look. You know, believe it or not, just a couple days ago, former President Donald Trump, a current candidate to be president of the United States again in 2024, survived a second assassination attempt. That wasn't an error in me speaking, a second assassination attempt. And you know what? Nobody cared. If that doesn't speak to the world that we live in now, I don't know what does. We should be alarmed. We should be concerned. We should have care for one another. It doesn't matter who you're voting for in this election. It doesn't matter what your political stance is. It's not okay. And whether we acknowledge it or not, we are stoking this division with our rhetoric, with the things that we say, with the way that we speak, and the way that we act. And that boils over. It translates into the way that we treat each other, into the care that we have for each other. We're supposed to be unified, one in the eyes of God. We're supposed to hold each other with grace and compassion, with love and peace in our hearts. And yet we don't. We spew hatred and division at every turn. And my friends, whether you acknowledge it or not, you're not going to tell me that hatred and that energy, that attitude that we exude doesn't translate to our children. Because it does. They learn by what they see. And everywhere we turn in this society, everywhere we turn in our day-to-day lives, We see people boldly speaking out, this is what I think, this is what I feel, and if you don't agree with me, you do not matter. But my friend, regardless of what you believe, regardless of what you value, you do matter. 100% unequivocally, you matter. But here's the thing. So do I. So does your neighbor down the street, and the person that lives 3 towns over, and that person that lives in the blue state or the red state, that person that shares no experience with you. They matter. Not just because they're human, not just because they're flesh and bones and heart and spirit, but because they are one of God's children. I don't know the moment that we lost the thread, where we lost the ability to be civil, where we lost the importance of what it means to be a human, to hold each other in that value, in that importance, and just to care. But my friends, we've lost our way. It's time to step up and start doing something different. United we stand, divided we fall. And until we start living that, until those fingers start pointing back at us and we take accountability and ownership and begin to stand for what we want the world to look like, not just for us, but for all of the generations that come behind us, until the moment that we decide to make a change, things will only get worse. I never thought I'd see a day where I'd be worried about sending my children to school. I never thought I'd see a day where a prayer and a plea for peace and civility would be taken down and removed from social media. But my friends, we live in that world. So what are you gonna do to change it? The future we want begins right now. And my friend, whether you acknowledge it or not, you are part of the solution. So don't you think it's time to stand up and make a difference? I see you, I hear you, and I believe in you, my friend. And I promise, if you're willing to pour a little bit of love into the world, we can make a change. So are you willing to stand up with me? I certainly hope so. Thanks for tuning in.
These are your thoughts, dictator. This is the hope of God set free. These are your thoughts, dictator.